We already started on YouTube already?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. We are on Chavches Amud Aleph 28a. As you know, we were discussing the story of Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua yesterday, that Rabbi Gamliel was the Nasi. He was the head of the leader of the Jewish community. And besides being leader of the community, he was the Rosh HaYeshiva. He was the head of the yeshiva, Beit Midrash. And he was a little strong. The rabbis felt that he was too strong with Rabbi Yeshua, that he disciplined Rabbi Yeshua um, in a very strong fashion. The rabbis felt that there were three occasions that he disciplined him, and like three is like a chazaka of some sort. The rabbis felt that it was a little bit, he went too far. And since he went too far, the rabbi said that we have to demote Rabbi Gamliel from the Nasi. He should lose his position. He needs to step down from his position of being the Nasi, of being the head of the community. Now, then we had yesterday that even though we had something amazing, even though he was removed from his position, he still came back to the Beit Midrash. He didn't stay away from the Beit Midrash. Afilu shachas, even at any moment, not one moment did he delay. Did he say, because I lost my position, I'm not coming to the Beit Midrash? You have to be in the Beit Midrash. He wants to be in the place of the learning, so on and so forth. And he was in the Beit Midrash, and there was a discussion, and there was a question that came into the Beit Midrash, and Rabbi Yeshua gave his opinion, and Rabbi Gamliel gave his opinion, and they followed the opinion of so that's what we're up to in the Gemara. Everybody got it? Yeah. And we're up to that point in the Gemara. So the Gemara is about 8 lines into the wide lines on Chavches Amud Aleph. And Omer Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Gamliel says, since this is the fact, which some want to say that it means that he sees that the halacha followed Rabbi Yeshua, that the rabbis accepted Rabbi Yeshua's opinion. So he sees that he made a mistake, because the fact that the law follows Rabbi Yeshua, so maybe I shouldn't have been so strong and so strict with Rabbi Yeshua. And therefore he wants to go ahead and fix up his mistake. So now, and one of the commentaries says, since the majority of the Sanhedrin accepted Rabbi Yeshua's opinion regarding the question that we had yesterday, whether Ammoni, someone who came from the nation of Ammon, a male from Ammon, are you allowed to accept him as a are you allowed to marry a person from the nation of Ammon? Because the Torah says someone from Ammon who converted to Judaism cannot marry a Jew from birth. But the Gemara said yesterday, Rabbi Yeshua said that all the nations of the world were mixed up, and no longer is a person could say I'm a real Ammoni, because you were mixed up. Sancheriv, the king of Ashur, mixed up all the nations of the world. And therefore, if someone from the world comes and says he wants to convert, he's from the majority of the world. The majority of the world are not from Ammon or Moab, and therefore you can accept them as a convert. And therefore, since the rabbis accepted the opinion of Yeshua, so therefore he sees that Rabbi Yeshua he was wrong. He was wrong for being wrong with Rabbi Yeshua, because we see Rabbi Yeshua is right. His opinion is accepted, and therefore, why are you getting so upset at Rabbi Yeshua? Why should you be so strong with him if we see that his opinion is so powerful and therefore Rabbi Gamliel realized that he made a mistake. And he realized that he made a mistake. Good morning, Mike. He made a mistake for being so strong with Rabbi Yeshua. Now, someone makes a mistake. Now, what's the job in life? When you make a mistake, you fix it. You can't be too arrogant, too haughty, or any amount of haughtiness. And you have to be able to go ahead and say, I made a mistake. Admit your mistake. That's one of the 48 ways of the Torah's nickness, is when a person admits their mistake. Or moda al emet, someone who admits the truth. So, so he says, "Hoyu v'hachihu," since this is the fact that the law follows Rabbi Yeshua in this case, because the majority of the Sanhedrin agreed to him, and it comes out I really should not have been so strong with him. Mike, we are on about 8 lines into the wide lines. The first wide lines on Chav Ches Amar Aleph. You have it?
What does it start with, Rabbi?
First word of the line is lavo. Lavo. Here, my Gemara. I don't know if you can see my Gemara. Lavo
Oh,
bekahal.
Lavo Bekal. Okay. And Rabbi, can you refresh my memory? So the fight was about the Arvit, right? Praying Arvit, and one was saying Reshut, and one was saying Chayav.
Correct.
So who was saying Reshut?
Rabbi Yeshua said it's a reshut. It's not the same level obligation of Shachris and Mincha. And as Tosos pointed out, it doesn't mean that if you want, you could say it. If you don't want, you don't have to pray that midah. You have to pray that midah. What he meant by reshut means it's not the same level responsibility. That if you have another mitzvah in front of you, and if you're going to lose that, if you don't do that other mitzvah, you're going to lose that mitzvah. Better do the other mitzvah than praying that midah. But not that it meant it's reshut. Usually the word reshut means voluntarily.
Free,
I'm
yeah.
right to be not a chiyuv, but here this reshut doesn't mean the normal meaning of reshut. It means that compared to some other obligation, this is considered a reshut. But not that you don't have that other obligation, and not that this is not this is also an obligation, but it's a lower level obligation. Morning Akiva. So morning. So the Gemara says. The Gemara continues. The Gemara says, so once Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Gamliel and Akiva, Rabbi Gamliel saw yesterday that Rabbi Yeshua's opinion was accepted in the Beit Midrash regarding the Ammoni, the guy from Ammon who wanted to know if he can marry a Jewish girl from birth, Jewish girl from birth. So he says, it seems I made a mistake in being so strong with Rabbi Yeshua. And therefore, he says, I'm going to go and I'm going to appease him. I'm going to ask him forgiveness for what I've done. When he came to the house, Mars, you're going to enjoy this very much, very interesting Gemara. Mars, you have it. When he came to his house, Chazinu la'ashioso de beite de meshachman. He saw that the walls in his house, the walls were black. It wasn't painted. Besides not being painted, black is a sign that maybe he was type of work that he was doing, that he was working with fire, that he was working with coals. And therefore he says to him, Amalo. So the Rabbi Gamliel says to Rabbi Yeshua, I could see from the walls of your house that they're black. That means that's from you deal with coals. You deal with coals. You deal with you're like a blacksmith. You do things with fire to make things. Some say that he used to make. Some say he used to make needles or certain things. Or you see, you're a blacksmith. You deal with coals, and it's not such a prestigious type of way of earning a living. It's. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being that, but meaning when everything gets dark and dirty, it's not as clean as other types of, something like a painter, right? Someone's a painter. Nothing wrong with being a painter, but I would think a painter gets all dirty and everything as a result of the painting. It's not such a respectable profession for someone of that character, of that greatness of Rabbi Yeshua. So, Amalo. So Rabbi Yeshua responds, "Oh lo ladar, morning Ariel. Oh lo ladar, woe is to a generation she'ata panoso, that if you lead the nation, and you're a leader in the community, you are the nasi. There's something wrong It's not good for the generation. Why is it not good for the generation? Because Shiata Yodea B'Tzaron Shel Talmidei Chachamim. You don't realize the difficulties of the Talmidei Chachamim. The rabbis, they want to try to make ends meet. They try to pay their bills, and you don't realize that it's not easy. The fact that you look at this and you say, "Wow, what's going on over here?" That why your house is you're a blacksmith. You deal with fire and with coals, and you're making you don't realize that this is a common thing. You don't know that this is what the Talmidei Chachamim go through. That they do whatever they can in order to earn a dollar to be able to pay their bills. So if you don't realize that, you don't know b'mahem misparnasim. You don't realize what they need to do in order to provide a parnasah, to provide the needs of the family of b'mahem nizonim and parnasa and nizonim. Mazon is referred to food. Parnasa is referred to all other types of needs of a person, right? Besides food, you need clothing, you need other things, and you don't realize you're not familiar with what the Talmidei Chacham have to do in order to provide. Good morning, Shmuel.
Boker tov, boker
Boker
tov.
tov, boker tov. You don't realize. He says you don't realize what they need to do in order to in order that they should be able to sustain the family, the needs, the different needs of the family, and you don't realize what they need in order to be able to provide food for the family. So that was a little musar that he gave to Rabbi Gamliel. If you're a leader of the community, you have to know not only are you responsible to know about the physical needs of the spiritual needs of the community, you have to also be interested and focused, know about the physical needs of the community. You know, my rabbi, I had a Rabbi Zvatitsky. He was the nephew of the Chazon Ish. He would ask the students, when the students would get older, how is Parnasah? How are you doing financially? How are things? Meaning there's a concern. You as a leader, you're a big rabbi, you need to be concerned and try to see what you could do to help the community, both in a physical, spiritual sense and in a physical sense. And Amalo. And then, so there's no response from Rabbi Gamliel. We don't see a response from Rabbi Gamliel to this question, to this rebuke that he was given. And you know what? Sometimes in life, you know, maybe people, not always you need to respond. When someone gives you a rebuke, someone says, "Good morning, Avram, good morning, Shmuel." Someone says you're doing something wrong. Sometimes you just accept it and you say, "Yes, maybe I'm making a mistake. I didn't realize." Now, the obvious question is, why didn't Rabbi Gamliel realize this? Some say that the Talmidei Chachamim, some of the rabbis, they did a lot of times, they would do things in private that people shouldn't see what they're doing, what they're doing in order to make a dollar. So maybe it wasn't like in the open that Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua was working with fire like a blacksmith. He would, yes.
This is the house of Rabbi Yeshua, right? We're talking about
the house, right? So it's in the house of Rabbi Yeshua. So it's in a private. It's not like outside in the street, outside of the market, that he's publicly doing this. So maybe that's perhaps why Rabbi Gamliel did not realize.
And who's getting into this? Who's getting into the house? Is it that we don't know?
Right, so I'm saying, so usually the house is a more of a private place. So most probably that's why Rabbi Gamliel doesn't come to Rabbi Yeshua's house. You see people, you go to the market, you go out, see the people, you might not enter people's homes. And in the privacy of their home.
Yes, but who's interacting with him in this story?
Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel, the Nasi, who was the former Nasi, who they demoted as the Nasi, right? Yesterday he lost his position as Nasi because he was too strict with Rabbi Yeshua. And the rabbi says, you're being too strict, you have to lose your position as a Nasi. You have to step down from your position. And now Rabbi Gamliel comes to the home of Rabbi Yeshua, and he sees what he's doing to make a parnasah. He sees he's dealing in a certain type of form of trade, which is not so pretty, so to speak, not so respectable. And maybe that's why Rabbi Gamliel didn't realize it. Because a lot of times they would hide, the Talmidei Chacham would not show off how they're making their dollar. And because they were maybe, sometimes it might be embarrassing, sometimes the type of profession they were doing, but they needed to do it. So Amar Lo, so Rabbi Gamliel says, Na'aneti lacha, I spoke too strongly to you. He's asking forgiveness. He's asking forgiveness. I was too strong with you. And Rashi explains, I spoke to you more than too strong, more than that was necessary. I was too strict with you. And Mecholi, forgive me. Forgive me for what I was too strict with you. Lo ashkach be. Fascinating thing, you know, it says in Pirkei Avot that you should be easy to forgive. When someone asks you forgiveness, Ariel, please forgive me. Yes, I forgive you, Rabbi. It's supposed to be always easy. Someone get married. Ariel, Bez Hashem, at the right time will be getting married. When he gets married at the right time, and everybody else is on the screen who needs to get married, sometimes you have to be able to say what someone, if your spouse asks you to forgive them, you're supposed to say, yes, I forgive you, right? You're not supposed to say no. And over here, we see that Rabbi Yeshua says no. Initially, he says no. When Rabbi Gamliel says, forgive me, I spoke too harsh to you. He did not want to forgive him in the beginning. And then he said, Asay b'shvil kvod Abba. Rabbi Gamliel says, forgive me out of respect for my ancestors. Some say that Hillel HaZaken, who was the head of the Nesiim, Rabbi Gamliel was from his descendants, and some say he was referring to Rabbi Gamliel's father, who was Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, who was from the 10 Harugei Malchus, the 10 martyrs that we know we say about on Tisha B'Av. On Yom Kippur, there were 10 great rabbis that got killed by the Romans. Rabbi Akiva was one of them, and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was one of them, and that was his father. So maybe you forgive me out of respect of in honor of my father, Zechut Avot, or forgive me in honor of my ancestor way back a few more generations earlier, Hillel HaZaken. If you don't want to do it for me, but do it out of respect for for your father, for my father, or my great-great-grandfather. You know what? Payis. Rabbi Yeshua accepted. At that point, Rabbi Yeshua said, I got to forgive the man. Now, why didn't he want to forgive him in the beginning? It could be possible that he wanted him to really want, when he asked for forgiveness, if you forgive him, if you forgave him right away, maybe Rabbi Gamliel might not have felt as bad, because you don't. But when you say I'm not forgiving you, then you really feel bad. You really feel even worse at what you did, because you're feeling you might not be forgiven. You're going to be punished, because forgiveness removes punishment. So that's the power of forgiveness. When you forgive somebody, it's many people say at night before they go to sleep, Hareini mochel. Before they go to sleep, and if you look in the Siddur, I forgive anybody who did anything bad to me, whether money, financially, or against my body, whatever they did to me. What do you say? Right before you go to sleep, before the Kriya Shema Lamita. It's because I don't want anyone to get punished because of me. Because if someone, have a great day, Sammy. If I don't forgive the guy, he could get punished. Do I want my fellow Jew to get punished? Someone did something bad to me. I don't want to get punished. So when you don't forgive somebody, by the way, as a result of that, there's more of a chance the person's going to get punished because you didn't forgive him. But I presume he didn't forgive him in the beginning just that you feel it more, that you really want to ask forgiveness in a stronger sense. And then once he said, do it in the honor of my ancestors, Hayes, he accepted and he forgave him. Now we continue to the next part of the story. Amru, the rabbis that were there, the rabbis that were by Rabbi Yeshua's house, when Rabbi Gamliel came, now they saw that Rabbi Yeshua accepted an apology. He accepted the apology. So now the question is, Rabbi Gamliel is deserving to get his position back. Because why? He lost his position because he was too strong. He was too tough. right? He thought that was the right. He thought that was the right way to act. He thought it was. I don't know if I should say too tough, but he thought it was right to be very strict.
Rabbi, good
Morning,
morning.
Yaron.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning, Yaron. Shalom Aleichem.
בוקר טוב,
Shalom
בוקר
Aleichem,
טוב.
Rabbi.
היי
Ariel
ירון.
says hello. Yaron, Ariel says hello.
Yes, Ariel.
Okay. So now the question is, once Rabbi Gamliel did tshuva,
Mike,
Rabbi
שבוע הבא, Mike.
Gamliel asked forgiveness. He realized he made a mistake to being too strict with Rabbi Yeshua. And part of the asking forgiveness, he's not going to do it again. So now he deserves to come back to his position as nothing, as the president of the Jewish community. Right? So now, how do we do it? What are we supposed to do? We already appointed Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah to take over the position. So you had Rabbi Gamliel was Nasi, then he was demoted, he lost a position, and what did you do? You appointed Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Now Rabbi Gamliel deserved to get his position back because he did tshuva, he repented. But now, what are we going to do with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who we appointed as Nasi? We got to be sensitive to him also, right? So we just take him, tell him you lost your position, Rabbi Gamliel's back. Let's see. Going to Yosef, hey, H. Yosef, it's here.
Rabbi, we cannot hear you.
Yes. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question that they said, who could go to the Beit Midrash and tell Man Nizel v'leimal hu Rabbanan? Who's going to tell the rabbis in the Beit Midrash to tell them that Rabbi Yeshua forgives Rabbi Gamliel? Like we said before, the forgiveness happened in the house of Rabbi Yeshua. The Beit Midrash, there's no cell phones that you say, okay, instant play, picture. He forgave him and they're hugging each other. There's no cell phones like that. So who's going to go to the Beit Midrash to inform the Beit Midrash, the Chachamim in the Beit Midrash, that he forgave him? Man leimalu Rabbanan. There was a guy who was a laundryman. He would clean people's clothing. The what do you call it today? Laundromat. The man from the laundromat. Who koveis? Anna azilna. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tell the people in the Beit Midrash that Rabbi Gamliel made up that he forgave him for what he did wrong. Shalach lu Rabbi Yeshua the Beit Midrasha. So Rabbi Yeshua sent him to the Beit Midrash. And he sent him with a message. Man de lavish madar yilbash madar. Someone who was accustomed, who on a regular basis, he would wear the special coat, the coat of honor, right? The coat of the Nasi had a special clothing, special garb that he, like you see Rabbi Vada Yosef, right? You see the special thing, all those beautiful yellow what's it called? Very distinguished garment that the Rav HaRashi wears, right? Something unique for the Rav HaRashi. Probably some other people also wear it, but something like that. Someone who is accustomed to wearing that garment, Yilbash Mabda, he should be the one to continue to wear it. And he should be the Nasi. And man, the Lolavish Mada, someone who was not accustomed to wearing it, meaning the interim president, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Is it appropriate for someone who generally does not wear that great cloak? It's not generally wearing the cloak of honor. Is it appropriate for him to say to someone who does generally wear the cloak, meaning Rabbi Gamliel, Shalach madaf v'ana al take off your garment and I will wear it? Definitely not. So therefore, the Gemara is saying, is that it's appropriate for Rabbi Gamliel to come back to his position. This is the position that he's been in for a number of years. This is the position of his family that his family has held. So therefore, it's appropriate that he should come back to his position. That's the message that was sent to the Beit Midrash, informing the rabbis that Rabbi Gamliel should come back to his position of honor. Now, the people in the Beit Midrash didn't know that this person was really sent by Rabbi Yeshua. They thought maybe this person is one of Rabbi Gamliel's students or close colleagues, and they thought that's why he's giving the message. But they didn't know it was from Rabbi Yeshua. So so what happened? Rabbi Akiva, the Rabbanan. Rabbi Akiva tells the rabbis, Ruki Galei, lock the doors of the Beit Midrash. Lock the doors. The later after Rabbi Gamliel B'Sari Rabbanan. The people that serve Rabbi Gamliel, they should not come to the Beit Midrash and pain the Rabbanan by saying these things, by like saying we want Rabbi Gamliel back. They didn't know that Rabbi Gamliel made up with Rabbi Yeshua. They just heard a message. The kovetz, the laundryman, comes to the Beit Midrash, and he makes sense that the person who used to wear it on a regular basis, he should go ahead and wear it. Now you're going to say, what do you mean? Rabbi Yeshua sent them. He would tell them, Rabbi Yeshua sent me. I presume if he said that, the people didn't believe him. They didn't believe him that Rabbi Yeshua sent you to come to give the message. You're just in Rabbi Gamliel's camp, and you want to just come. You want your Rabbi Gamliel to be back in his position. So when Rabbi Yeshua heard that the doors of the Beit Midrash was locked, and we all know that they opened the doors of the Beit Midrash. When Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became the Nasi, he had an open door policy. Everybody come to the Beit Midrash, whether you're inside, even if you don't have that level of Yirat Shemayim, but you want to learn, come into the Beit Midrash. So Amar Rabbi Yeshua. So Rabbi Yeshua says, Mutav de'ikum ve'izel ana gagabayu. It's better that I should get up and I should go to them myself and tell them myself that we made up. Ata, he came. Taraf ababa. He banged on the door. Amalahu. And he gave and Rabbi Yeshua said to the Chachamim in the Beit Midrash, Mazeh ben Mazeh Yazeh. A Kohen. Kohen, he's the one who generally sprinkles the ashes of the paraduma. If somebody was tamei, the Kohen who sprinkles the ashes of the paraduma, Mazeh ben Mazeh Yazeh. The Mazeh, the one who sprinkles the ashes, who is the son of a Kohen. A Kohen is the son of a Kohen, right? So he did it. His father did it, Yazeh. He should be the one to sprinkle the ashes of the paraduma. But Misha Eino lo mazeh velo ben mazeh. Someone who is not a mazeh, not a ben mazeh. Someone who is not a Kohen. Someone who is not a Kohen. Yoima la mazeh ben mazeh. Could he tell someone who is a Kohen, mei mecha mei ma'ara? Could he tell the Kohen, the water, you needed to use spring water, mayim chayim, natural waters, to mix with the ashes of the paraduma. So a person who is not a Kohen cannot tell a person who's a Kohen and say, your waters are not natural. They're waters from the cave, which is not a kosher for the ashes of paraduma. And he says that your ashes are from the oven. A person who was not knowledgeable, is not a Kohen, cannot tell someone who is a Kohen exactly what's the right thing, how to do his job. So too, the similar since Rabbi Gamliel is someone who was a Mazeh ben Mazeh. He was the one who was doing this job on a regular basis. So he should be the one to go ahead and continue taking the job. And it's not appropriate for someone, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who was not accustomed to doing this. He's not experienced in this, meaning He's a new man on the block. So the experienced person is symbolic of the Kohen in the Mashal. The Kohen who's in the Mashal, he's the one who should sprinkle the ashes, and he's the one, nobody could tell him how to act, because a person who's not a Kohen doesn't know. Right, it's true. But the person, then, Rabbi Gamliel is experienced as a Nasi, as the president of the community. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is not experienced. And what did I say? No, it was not going. But we're talking about the Nasi. But we're using the mashal of a Kohen. The same way someone who's a Kohen, no, he's the one, he's experienced, he's the one who should be in the job. A person who's not experienced should not be in the, can't tell someone who's experienced to, what to do. And therefore, in a certain sense, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is not experienced. Even though we placed him in the position, he's not experienced, and therefore, since he's not experienced, he should step down from the position. He should not, the right person to be the Nasi now, Rabbi Gamliel should come back to his position. That's what that was the point that Rabbi Yeshua is giving them the message. Yes, sorry. Amalo Rabbi Akiva. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Amalo Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Yeshua, Klum asinu ela b'shvil kavodcha. Whatever we did to Rabbi Gamliel, that we the rabbis said that Rabbi Gamliel has to step down from his position, we only did it out of your honor, to give you honor because we felt he was too strict with you. But tomorrow, ani v'ata nashkim lepitcho. Tomorrow, me and you will go to Rabbi Gamliel and we'll inform him that you are back. You are back to your position of Nasiut. You're back to your position as leader of the community in the Rosh HaYeshiva. So, Omri. So now, okay. So now we have a team ready to go back to Rabbi Gamliel. But now the question is, very good. We're going to inform Rabbi Gamliel that you got your position back. But how do we deal with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? We appointed him as the interim president, as the interim Nasi, as the interim Rosh Hashiva. How do you deal with him? You have to have sensitivity to him too, right? Right, Mike? Right, Yaron? You got to know how to deal. What do you have to figure out how to wheel and deal properly with all parties involved. Omri, Heichi Navin. What should we do? Na'abrei? Should we remove Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? Just tell him, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, you have to leave your position. Gemiri, we learned, Ma'alim Makodesh ve'ein moridin. We learned the rule is that in life you're always supposed to go up in holiness, and you're not supposed to go down. And if you're going to take his position, if he's a Nasi, and he's the president of the community, he's the Rosh Yeshiva, but the motive that you're no longer Rosh Yeshiva, that's a downgrade, right? Maris, that's a downgrade, and you're always supposed to move up in holiness. And I told you that one opinion is, why do we put on our talit and then our tefillin? One opinion is because you go up in holiness. Talit is one level, but the higher level is tefillin. You first put on your talit, then you put on your tefillin. Similarly, by Hanukkah, the halacha follows Beis Hillel. First night is one candle. Second night is two. Beis Shammai says 876. Beis Hillel says 1, 2, 3. You got to always be moving up in life, in ruchnius and spirituality, right? Right, Shmuel. You got to move. We got to be moving up, not down. So how can we just remove him from the position? So the Gemara says, Gimiri. Now, Nidrosh Chad. You know what? So let them split the role. Because the job of the Nasi, one of the responsibilities was to give the Drasha on Shabbat. So, should you have both of them give the Drasha 1 week? This rabbi will be on, 1 week the other rabbi will be on. The Gemara says that's not a good idea because you need one leader. You all know when a lot of times when two people sharing up same position, it could lead to some jealousy. People, it's not you need one person on top. It comes to jealousy. And that's why when people are partners, also people have to be careful because sometimes when you're both exactly equal, sometimes one partner might be jealous of the other partner. I mean, a similar idea, I would say. You need to, Ella, the Gemara says, Lidrosh Rabbi Gamliel Talasa Shabbateh. Rabbi Gamliel should speak 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 weeks in the month. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Chad Shabbateh. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah should do 1 week. 1 week out of 4 should be Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Is that clear, Morris? And 3 weeks should be Rabbi Gamliel. Some people have a different text in the Gemara. They have 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, 2 to 1, not 3 to 1. 2 weeks Rabbi Gamliel, 1 week Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. 2 weeks Rabbi Gamliel, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. The Gersa in our Gemara is 3 to 1. The question is why 3 to 1? Why not 2 to 1? Why the one idea is, as we know, a chazakah is 3. So if in order to show that Rabbi Gamliel is back on his true strength to his position of Nesiyut, of Nasiv, you give him 3 out of the 4. Give him 3 out of 4 that's stronger, that shows you as a chazakah of his strength, of his leadership. That's one idea why he got 3. He got the lion's share, because really the truth is they want to put Rabbi Gamliel back as the Nasi. That he really deserves the position back. That was the position he used to have. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was just an interim Nasi, only a temporary Nasi. But so therefore we want to show that his position is back with strength. He got 3 weeks out of 4. And the other rabbi got, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah got 1 week out of 4. And the Gemara says, "V'hainu de'amama." That's what the rabbi said. Shabbat shel mi hoisa. Sometimes the Gemara says, "Whose Shabbat was it?" And the Gemara says that it was Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Sometimes it says that it was the Shabbat of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. What does it mean? It's the Shabbat of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah because that was the 1 week out of the 4 weeks that he was on. So sometimes, who's on this week, right? Who's on call this week? Who's the rabbi for this week? 3 out of 4 was Rabbi Gamliel, and 1 out of 4 was what? Was Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And the Gemara says, "V'oto Talmid," who was the student, who was the original person who asked the question. Remember, the whole Gemara started about someone asked Rabbi Yeshua, "Is Tfilat Arvit Rishut a Chiyuv or Chayav?" Who was that student? And then that student came to the Beit Midrash and he asked Rabbi Gamliel, and the whole story happened. Who was that student? Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Haveh. It was Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. It was Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, the famous Rabbi Bar Yochai, the famous Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai of Lag BaOmer. That was the one who asked the question to Rabbi Yeshua and subsequently went to the Beit Midrash. The Mefarshim asked, why only at this point do we identify the student by name? Why did we wait? In the beginning, the Gemara says a Talmid came, a student. We knew who the student was, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Why only after all of this, now we're going to mention who was the name of that student? You refer to that name. Why? So a beautiful idea is the following. This is from it's brought in the Beit Yosef on Sefer Beit Yosef on Berachos, that in the beginning it wasn't pretty. In the beginning, this Talmud asked Rabbi Yeshua, and then he went to the Beit Midrash. Then Rabbi Gamliel told Rabbi Yeshua to stand on your feet, and we're going to testify about you. And it wasn't pretty, and it caused Rabbi Gamliel lost his position. It's not so pretty. So we didn't want to connect Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai with something that wasn't so pretty. But after everybody made up, and as they say, and they live happy ever after. Ever hear that expression? Make up and live happy, and everything was fine. Hey, Yaron, everything worked out. They made up like a husband and a wife. They made up. Now we can go ahead and say, okay, who the name of the person was. We did not want to identify him. We did not want to identify him earlier, connected with something which is not good. You should know also, you should look in Pashat Balak, when the story of Zimri and Cosby, that when Pinchas goes ahead and he kills Zimri and Cosby, the Jewish man who was sleeping with a non-Jewish woman, it did not identify the people who were doing the sin in the beginning, and only identified them in Pashas Pinchas. And their name wasn't mentioned earlier. And therefore you have to ask the question, why wasn't their name mentioned earlier? Similarly, we had recently with the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu, it does not mention the name of his father and his mother at his birth. In Pasha Shemot, when it talks about Moshe Rabbeinu's birth, it says there was a man from the tribe of Levi, took the daughter of Levi, and they had married a daughter of Levi, and they had a son, Moshe. Did not identify his name by name, that his name was Amram, and his wife's name was Yocheved. Only in the following Pasha, you have to wait to Pasha Ze'irah to find out who Moshe Rabbeinu's parents were. And there's a great question. Why didn't the Torah name Moshe Rabbeinu's parents by his birth? Why did he only name his parents only later on? The Moshe Feinstein said an amazing idea. And it's a little similar to this idea what we're talking about today. He said, because when a child is born, the parents don't know if this child will grow up to be what they want the child to grow up to be. They don't know if the child is going to make the right decisions in life. What the parents do is they do everything in their power to guide, to educate the child, that the child should be able to make the right decisions and to become a great person. But when the child is born, it's unknown. The future is unknown. Only after, therefore, when the Torah wants that the parents should take great pride of their child, that the parents could be very proud of their child. You know when you can be really proud of your child to the fullest? Not as much as when they're born, as when they grow up and do the right thing. No, but I'm saying the point is, a parent, the greatest nachat, the greatest honor to the parents is not at the birth of the child. The greatest honor to the parents is not when the child makes the right decisions and lives a proper life. That is where the parents want to take the fullest, the greatest, feel the nachat, they feel the success. And the success, and therefore the Torah did not want to mention Moshe's parents at that point. Because at that point, the parents and Moshe, we don't see the success of Moshe yet. The success, meaning a child is born. The purpose of a child being born is not just to be born. The purpose of a child being born is to do great things, is to grow up and do certain things in life. You hear what I'm saying? Come closer, if people want to hear you. Connected with his father. And he is happy with him. I mean, okay, this is an idea. This is an idea, right? Maybe. Right, so Ariel wants to say Ariel wants to say because they weren't involved so much with his education because he was in the river Basparo, so maybe therefore that's why it's not mentioned yet. But I'll tell you a different answer that I said, and we'll end with this. A person should not make a mistake to think that the only way Moshe became Moshe is because he had such great parents. Moshe had great parents. Amram was the Godel Hadar. Yocheved was one of the great ladies. She was the one who was the midwife who saved the Jewish babies. A lot of times people make a mistake and think because you come from great parents, that's why you can be so great. But if you don't come from great parents, maybe you can't be so great. Therefore, the Torah wants to tell you, no, even if you don't come from great parents, even if you come from average parents, you could be great. So therefore, when we talk about Moshe, we don't want to say, identify his parents in the beginning that a person should say, oh, Moshe is born. You know why Moshe is Moshe? Because of his parents, only because of his parents. And if you wouldn't have such parents, it can't be so great. No. Therefore, everyone needs to realize, Morris, have a great day, that even if a person is not born from parents that have such a long
But
leaders of
Rabbi,
the generation, if they have the ability to become a Moshe Rabbeinu. So therefore, we don't connect the birth of Moshe and connect it with his parents. We only connect his parents later on to show you that every person is born with opportunity to become great. Yes, well,
I think most of the, I don't know if most, but a lot of people in the Torah were born not to the right family, if you can call it this way. I mean, even Abraham came from his father, who was Obed Elilim. David came from a family that was not really the most. So it seems like, I would even say that there's like a theme that that even when you come from this lower place, where the place that there is no really a proper education, but maybe you have over there more the energy to strive higher than somebody that grew up all his life in the right place. I don't know. I mean, it's in the Torah. It's coming from a few places that the negativity or your background sometimes is the one that uplifting you to go higher than other people.
But I think, well, what you said is very true. It all depends on the person. Some people could use the background, the great background, as a strength, and some people could use the negative background as a strength. Different people have the ability to tap in to each thing in the proper way, 100%. Okay, that's beautiful, Shmuel. And you know, that's why, Shmuel, it says, Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, I'll talk about David HaMelech. David HaMelech came from Ruth, right?
Right.
Even though Ruth was not Jew, it was from the converts.
She was going with Naomi.
Right. She was with Naomi. Ruth was with Naomi. So you see, you could be, even if you don't come from someone who was Jewish all along, you could even come from someone, you could be great, even if you come from a convert who wasn't Jewish all along. It shows you every person has the ability, and we find that converts, we had converts that were great leaders of the Jewish community. So we have, and Rabbi Akiva came from a family of converts. So he himself wasn't a convert, but he came from a family. So everybody has the ability to use to look at the glass and to focus on it and to take it and use it for its best. That's our job in life. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Rabbi,
Yaron, welcome back.
day.
Have a great day.
Have
You
a good
too.
day, Rabbi.
You too.
Thank
Shalom,
you.
shalom. Bye-bye,
להתראות.
everybody.
תודה.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Great day, Akiva. Great day, Yosef. Bye-bye.